Hi, I'm Natalie Silverman, host of the Fertility Podcast, and I'm back at Bourn Hall where I had successful fertility treatment to talk about the decision that we made to donate our embryos to science. I want to make sure you understand what that really means and also about the other options that you have available when it comes to deciding what you're going to do with your frozen embryos. So we're going to go inside and find out more. So this is a real treat for me to get to meet you, Jackie, in person. Jackie Stewart is a counsellor here at Bourn Hall, and we work together through the decision that I and my husband made to donate our embryos. So first of all, I just want to say thank you, Jackie, because you were an amazing support. Let's talk about the options that people have when it comes to what they're going to do with their frozen embryos.
Nobody really thinks about frozen embryos to begin with when they're going through treatment. They're just hoping treatment is going to work. So one of the options would be to just pay to store the embryos until you're ready to either have more treatment or to decide what you might want to do with those embryos. They can actually donate to medical science, so research purposes. They can defer and pay the storage fees. They can donate to another couple, or they can allow them to be let go.
When it comes to people asking for help and how counselling can help, I know that there's still such a reluctance for people to ask for help. What would your advice be?
Don't see it as a weakness. Counselling is purely supporting somebody's feelings. You can feel very alone and isolated out there with something that actually can be quite overwhelming, this decision. But the risk of not stepping forward is you're just sat with that continually going round and round and round in your head.
That's what a lot of people are doing. They're not moving forward, they're sitting and they're stressing.
Yes.
Why is it such a difficult decision?
If you are emotionally attached to that embryo as a potential child, that can affect a person on a very, very deep psychological level and emotional level. And so get help, seek help with that, just some support. Nobody's going to tell you what to do, they're just going to help.
And I think when people are wondering about this decision, they need to be aware that wherever they've come from, it's all okay. Because we beat ourselves up a lot when we're making this decision if we've chosen to not have further treatment, I think.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong to it really, even between couples, how they feel.
And one final piece of advice for people sitting with this, ultimately just ask for help.
Ask for help, yeah, reach out, just be brave, make a phone call and take your time. Just take your time to make that decision.
Thank you, Jackie.
You're very welcome. No, thanks for having me.
So Martyn, we're here to talk about the decision to donate embryos to research, which is something that my husband and I have recently done after much deliberation. Can you explain that process of making the decision to donate your embryos?
Yes, certainly. As you mentioned, it is a big decision and it's not something we wish anybody to rush into or to consider lightly. So there is quite a long and robust and lengthy procedure we ask you to go through to make sure that you're fully informed all the way along, to make sure that we're complying with our regulatory requirements as well. So yes, it's not a fast process. There are consent forms to fill out along the way and lots of information for you to sort of be given and to digest.
I don't think we expected the level of information that we got. I don't know what we expected. Can you talk a bit about what you explain in those consent forms? And because there's different stages of the consent, aren't there?
Absolutely. So right at the beginning, when we're asking you what you would like to be doing with your frozen embryos, one of the options is to donate those to research. So that is a very simple, I would like to consider donating my embryos to research.
I really want to kind of demystify what happens with the research, to understand how long the embryos are kept for and what it is that you're finding out. So let's start with how long you can keep those embryos for.
As regulation stands at the moment, the embryos can still only be kept up to their legally consented period. So that typically is 10 years. That's a statutory storage period, but you may have consented to a shorter period. So whatever you initially consented to, that will be the storage period that they are allowed to be kept for. So typically it's 10 years in most cases. So once the embryos are actually enrolled into the research program and thawed for use, we cannot keep an embryo in the laboratory for longer than 14 days. That is in the HVA Act. So that is the longest that embryo can be kept growing in the laboratory is 14 days.
Now, one of the common issues that happens with fertility treatment is implantation failure, and I know that's a key part of the research that you're doing. Do you want to just explain a bit more about that?
Implantation failure, we suspect, is probably one of the commonest reasons that IVF, and in fact any fertility treatment, doesn't proceed. And again, current research would suggest that a lot of that comes down to the embryo. That's really only just starting to be understood, so it's a rather more difficult experiment to do.
So for people thinking about making this decision to donate, it's having that thought that they're ultimately helping other couples to have successful treatment. That's the outcome that we're hoping with this research.
Absolutely, it's an unbelievable gift to donate your embryos to research, and we wouldn't be anything like as successful as we are now if Professor Edwards and Steptoe did not have material to work upon.
And do you have enough embryos for research?
I don't think we would say we ever have enough. It is such a precious resource. It is so difficult to come by. There are researchers, we're approached by researchers all around the country and indeed all around the world asking us for material, and so there is never enough.
Thank you, Martyn. I think it's so interesting to know what the embryo research involves, and also hearing you use words like gift and precious, really, as somebody who's made this decision, makes me feel proud, and I hope puts other people's minds at rest if they are thinking of making this decision moving forward with their embryos.
It's a pleasure, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to maybe explain some of the more less well understood aspects of embryo donation.
So there you have it. Hopefully that's given you more of an understanding about what the options are for you. The main advice is don't take this decision lightly. Ask for help along the way, speak to your clinic, get some guidance, and hopefully that will make the process a bit easier for you.